Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report. We're now talking to head wrestling coach O.T. Johnson. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's been a long couple of months since we were last able to sit down and talk to you, so let's catch the viewers up on your season so far. The Braves have posted a 5-2 mark in dual meets this season and are currently ranked 14th in the latest top 20 poll by the Division II Wrestling Coaches Association. So can you give us a progress report on your team through the first half of this season?
Absolutely. We've had an awesome opportunity in the last couple months to really start to carve out our lineup to see who can help us in postseason. We've gotten quite a way there, and we're hoping a couple of guys can still make some gains here in the next 3 weeks or so as we finish out our dual meet season. We had a handful of guys go to the Midwest Classic in Indianapolis and do a good job, and did themselves some favor heading to postseason. And Terrence Zaleski, Juan Stimson, Chris Giddens, obviously returned national champ Daniel Owenby, and we had some other guys that won a match or two to help us finish 7th in that tournament, which is a pretty prestigious tournament with 26 teams this year, and we finished 7th as a team there. So that was a great little balance maker, or foreshadow for us to see what we have as a tournament team. And then we also had the Wolfpack Duels, which we wrestled 2 Division I opponents, lost to both of them, but we also saw our guys fight in every match, and we beat an NAIA team in Lindsey Wilson College, who's ranked 6th in NAIA at the time, and that was a good win for us. Got us back on the winning side of things, and in the process, we've really start to develop some young guys that are hopefully going to help us as we progress in the season here. We came back right after that. We had Christmas break, came back with a little rust, but guys deserve a break, and we came back and got after and went out to Virginia and wrestled the Virginia Duels.
Well, speaking of that, let's talk about your performance there. You traveled to Hampton, Virginia, and recorded 3 wins in grabbing championship honors at the Virginia Duels for the 2nd straight year. You had some scares up there, but were able to pull out some wins against Central Florida, Nassau Community College, and Liberty. So what did you learn about your team while you were up in Virginia?
Well, I definitely learned that even though wrestling is an individual sport, when you have great leaders, as we do in our upper weights, as we finish up our lineup, you can never overthink anything as a coach, and I think not only did my staff do a great job of that, but some of the guys on the team that are accustomed to be in that position did a great job of just keeping their poise and knowing that when their time came to do that job, they're going to do a great job for themselves, which will help us take care of business as a team. And that really says a lot about our leadership with Daniel. I don't want to. This might sound crazy, but stopping the bleeding early in the duel, and then when we get to our what you want to call the closers, doing that job from 65 on up to heavyweight. So we learn a lot about, what we have to go forward in the upper weights, and we learned that if we can get a couple guys to tighten things up around Daniel, we can definitely have a great postseason.
Well, the bottom part of your lineup, as you just mentioned, seems to be pretty rock solid, especially with nationally ranked wrestlers at 174 in Terrence Zaleski and at the heavyweight spot with Chris Giddens. What type of luxury has it been for you this season, knowing that you can really rely on those last 5 guys in your lineup?
Well, I know this is crazy, but we go into a dual meet, you're not sure what's going to happen. It depends on how the guy might have managed his weight or didn't manage his weight at the lower weight. The result really kind of a toss up, and we're going there knowing that it's going to be a fight. But we know if we get to about 174 and we're down by 10, we know that we got some hammers coming up. And as a coach, it really makes me feel good. It makes us as a staff feel great to know that those guys have bought in. And Terrence is hungry. He's finishing out his career. Chris is hungry. He went to the national tournament last year and didn't get what he wanted. So I think those guys don't want to leave any event knowing that, hey, they didn't leave it all out there. So it makes you feel good as a coach, and the younger guys, it lets them know that, hey, they can go out there and let it fly and not really worry too much, because they know they're a team, and their teammates are going to do their jobs, and which allows them to give their best. Whatever the result may be, they're going to go out there and wrestle as hard as they can.
Well, let's go back and talk a little bit about Terrence Zaleski some more. He redshirted last year after competing 2 seasons at UNC Greensboro and leads your team with 24 wins this season, including a perfect 10-0 mark against NCAA Division II competition. Terrence, along with Juan Stimson, who you also mentioned earlier at the 165-pound mark, have been very valuable additions to the Braves this year. But what kind of leaders have they been to your team as well?
I mean, with Terrence, Terrence is, I guess you could say older, but last year Terrence got some news that he couldn't compete, so he had to forfeit a season of competition. So he pretty much was just training and going to open tournaments on his own, paying his way, coaching himself, as we can't coach him on these wrestling open tournaments. So I think he learned a lot about himself and what he's capable of. Same thing with Juan. Both those young men learned a lot about themselves and, how they can control their own destiny. And I think last year really helped them develop and grow into the leaders they are. And I think both of those guys leave with the way they go out there and compete and not really, worrying about wins and losses. Obviously, the more you train that way, the easier it's going to be to have, good results. Terrence this season has been on the roll. I mean, 24 wins this early in the season is phenomenal for anyone, let alone a guy that's in his last season of competition. He just goes out there and wrestle each match as if it's his last in his career, which, I think if everyone can take that mentality, whether you're a freshman or a fifth-year senior, it's a great example of what happens if you just go out there and do what you're trained to do and train what you need to do in competition. So Terrence has been not only a leader by example, he's a very big vocal leader, and he takes a lot of young guys on his wing, even some of the older guys that may be struggling at the time in the season, and really tries to encourage them to just go out there and do your best, and whatever happens, let it be.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll take our next commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to continue talking to head coach O.T. Johnson. So stay tuned.